Many people believe that change will come naturally with time. But time by itself is just a measure of life passing by. If you want transformation before 2026, you cannot wait for it, you must create it. The steps you take in the next months can determine the quality of your next decade. The difference between those who arrive where they want to be and those who remain where they are is preparation and intention. Many people live under the quiet illusion that change is a natural byproduct of time. They believe that if they simply wait long enough, life will eventually improve. But time, if left untouched by deliberate action, is neutral. It does not favor growth nor decline. It simply records the unfolding of whatever you choose or neglect to do. This is why so many look back after a decade and wonder why their lives feel eerily similar to the way they felt years ago. It is not because they lacked opportunities. It is not because the world held them back. It is because they mistook movement of the clock for movement of the soul. The truth is, time itself changes nothing. It is the quality of your intention and the actions shaped by that intention that determine whether a day becomes just another page in the calendar or a turning point in your destiny. Intention is the inner compass that tells time where to take you. Without it, the days will drift into each other and your path will be decided by circumstance rather than choice. Imagine a ship setting out into the open ocean without a map or destination. Every gust of wind will redirect it. Every current will carry it to an unplanned shore. In life, this is what happens when you rely solely on time to bring change. Without a clearly set intention, you will live reactively, always adjusting to conditions rather than creating them. Intention, when coupled with conscious action, transforms every hour into an opportunity. It gives weight to your minutes and clarity to your mornings. It changes the way you speak, the way you plan, and even the way you face obstacles. Because when you have intention, you stop asking whether the day will be good or bad. You start asking whether it will bring you closer to the life you are building. There is a profound difference between living by default and living by design. Living by default means you let the habits you formed years ago run on autopilot. You wake up at the same time, perform the same rituals, think the same thoughts, and interact with the same environments without questioning them. Days blend into weeks and weeks into months, until one day you realize that nothing significant has changed except your age. Living by design, on the other hand, means waking up with a plan, no matter how small, that directs your energy toward a specific aim. It does not require grand gestures every day. It requires steady, conscious steps. A single hour of intentional practice, repeated consistently, can reshape your skills, your mindset, and your future. The great artists, the skilled masters, the disciplined athletes, they do not become exceptional by accident. They plant seeds of intention daily, and they guard those seeds fiercely from the weeds of distraction and doubt. It is important to understand that intention is not the same as wishful thinking. Wishes float in the mind. Intention lives in the body. It is visible in the way you choose to spend your mornings, in the way you handle interruptions, in the way you decline the things that do not serve your path. Time, left alone, will slip through your fingers whether you are aware of it or not. But time infused with intention becomes a forge. It shapes and hardens you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable. Every day becomes a small workshop in which you are crafting your future self. This is why you cannot simply wait for 2026 to arrive and expect transformation. The year will come, just as the next sunrise will come. The real question is, what will you have done with the moments between now and then? Because if you do not fill them with purpose, they will be filled for you by the world, and the world rarely chooses in your favor. A person's environment is more than the physical space they inhabit. It is an invisible network of influences, people, places, habits, and even subtle energies that constantly shape thoughts, moods, and decisions. Most underestimate how deeply they are molded by their surroundings. They believe their mind operates independently, free from outside influence. But this is rarely the case. Just as a seed's growth is determined by the soil it's planted in, your growth is determined by the environment you choose or tolerate. You may have the best intentions, the strongest will, and the clearest vision, but if you are rooted in the wrong soil, around voices that drain you, in spaces that dull you, your growth will be stunted. And the most dangerous part, this stunting often happens quietly, without you realizing it, until years have passed and you wonder why your life feels small. Your environment includes the people you allow into your daily orbit. Whether you admit it or not, you absorb their attitudes, their habits, and their beliefs. Sit with someone who constantly complains, and soon you will find your mind scanning for problems rather than solutions. Walk alongside someone who takes bold action, and you will find yourself more willing to take risks. This is not weakness, it is human nature. Our nervous systems are wired to mirror the emotional states of those around us. This means that your friends, your colleagues, even the media you consume are all shaping your mental landscape. If you want to step into a greater version of yourself, you must guard this landscape with vigilance. The wrong environment will make the right goals impossible. The right environment will make even the most challenging goals feel inevitable. The physical spaces you inhabit are just as influential as the people you surround yourself with. A cluttered room often leads to a cluttered mind, while a space designed for focus and clarity can trigger the same qualities within you. Think about it: when you walk into a gym, your body instinctively prepares for movement. When you walk into a library, your mind quiets and focuses. The environment speaks to your subconscious before you even make a conscious decision. This is why those who achieve mastery in their field often create environments that make their desired actions the default choice. They keep their tools within reach, they remove unnecessary distractions, and they arrange their space to invite the behaviors they wish to repeat. The place you spend the most time in should feel like an ally in your growth, not a silent adversary pulling you backward. Even the unseen elements of your environment, such as the emotional tone of your home, the energy of your workspace, or the cultural values of your community, affect your progress in ways you might never trace directly. When you spend your days in a place where growth is celebrated, effort is respected, and kindness is practiced, you will find it easier to stay on your path. But if your surroundings encourage cynicism, laziness, or self-doubt, you will constantly fight uphill, exhausting your willpower just to maintain your position. This is why change often begins with relocation, not just geographically but socially and mentally. Sometimes the most transformative step you can take is not to add more effort, but to change the stage upon which your life is unfolding. Because whether you acknowledge it or not, your environment is always shaping you. The question is it shaping you into the person you want to become? Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it is a cage, a set of strict rules designed to restrict life's pleasures. But discipline, in its truest form, is not about imprisonment. It is about liberation. The irony is that the more disciplined you are, the freer you become. Without discipline, you are at the mercy of impulses, moods, and distractions. Your time is easily stolen by things that hold no value. Your attention scattered like leaves in the wind. But with discipline, you claim authority over yourself. You decide how your hours are spent, where your energy flows, and which desires are worth pursuing. It is the practice of saying no to the trivial so you can say yes to the essential. And once you understand that discipline is not a punishment but a pathway to freedom, you stop resisting it and start seeking it. Think of a musician who wishes to play without limitation. They cannot simply sit at the piano and create beauty on the first day. They must first commit to the repetition, the scales, the exercises, day after day, sometimes without visible progress. This discipline may feel confining at first, but over time it creates a mastery that allows them to express anything they feel, without hesitation. The same is true in every domain of life. The athlete trains their body not because they enjoy every moment of sweat and strain, but because those moments grant them the ability to perform at will. The disciplined person in life is like the skilled musician or the trained athlete. They have built the ability to act on what matters without being stopped by weakness, laziness, or fear. And that ability is the purest form of freedom. Discipline builds freedom because it removes the chaos of constant decision-making. When you are undisciplined, every action becomes a negotiation with yourself. Should I work or rest? Should I stay committed or quit? Should I indulge or refrain? Each question drains mental energy and leaves room for hesitation. But the disciplined person has already answered these questions in advance. They know what time they will wake up, how they will spend their mornings, which habits they will honor. Their life moves with a quiet rhythm, and that rhythm frees them from the noise of indecision. This is why discipline often feels effortless to those who have truly cultivated it. Not because their tasks are easy, but because the choice to do them has already been made. Perhaps the greatest gift of discipline is the trust it builds within yourself. When you follow through on what you said you would do, you begin to see yourself as someone reliable, someone who can be counted on, not just by others but by you. This self-trust changes everything. It allows you to set bigger goals without fear of breaking your own word. It enables you to take on challenges with the quiet confidence that you will not abandon yourself halfway through. Over time, this trust becomes a kind of inner strength, a foundation that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. And when you carry that kind of strength within you, the world opens in ways it never will for those who rely only on motivation or inspiration. Discipline, then, is not the enemy of freedom. It is the architect of it. Strength is often misunderstood as something purely physical, measured by how much weight you can lift or how fast you can move. But true strength is a balance between the outer and the inner, between the body that carries you and the mind that directs it. The outer strength allows you to endure physical challenges, to work long hours when needed, to meet life's demands without being broken by fatigue or sickness. The inner strength, however, is the deeper foundation, the resilience that carries you through emotional storms, the clarity that prevents panic in the midst of uncertainty, the calm that keeps you steady when everything around you is shifting. One without the other is incomplete. A strong body without a strong mind can still crumble under stress. A strong mind in a weak body will struggle to act when action is required. To live fully, both must be cultivated together. Outer strength begins with respect for your physical vessel. Your body is not just a tool, it is the only home you will inhabit for your entire life. Treating it with neglect is like letting the foundation of your house decay while focusing on painting the walls. Proper nourishment, regular movement, and adequate rest are not luxuries. They are the bare minimum requirements for building a body that will serve you faithfully for decades. When you train your body, whether through martial arts, running, lifting, or even disciplined stretching, you are not just shaping muscle and stamina, you are practicing discipline in its most tangible form. Every time you push your body past comfort, you send a message to yourself. I am capable of more than I thought. Over time, this message becomes part of your identity, and it strengthens you in ways that extend far beyond the physical. Inner strength, on the other hand, is less visible but even more essential. It is forged in moments of discomfort, in the silent battles you fight within your own mind. It is the ability to hold your ground when fear tells you to retreat, to remain patient when frustration urges you to react, to stay focused when distractions pull at your attention. Inner strength grows when you learn to manage your emotions rather than letting them control you. It deepens when you face hardship without surrendering to despair. It matures when you practice stillness, reflection, and self-awareness. Just as you can train your body through repetition, you can train your mind through deliberate practice, by meditating, by confronting challenges instead of avoiding them, and by staying present in moments of difficulty instead of seeking escape. The harmony between inner and outer strength is what allows a person to move through life with both confidence and humility. When your body is healthy and your mind is clear, challenges become opportunities instead of threats. Physical strength gives you the endurance to keep going. Mental strength gives you the wisdom to know where to go. This balance is not built in a single day. It is the result of countless small choices, from the food you eat to the thoughts you entertain. And the beauty of working on both is that they reinforce each other. A strong body makes it easier to maintain mental clarity, while a strong mind gives you the discipline to care for your body. Together they form a kind of armor, not to isolate you from life, but to equip you for it, so you can step forward without fear when the moment demands it. Fear is often treated as an enemy, something to be conquered, suppressed, or avoided at all costs. From childhood, we are taught that fear is a sign of weakness, an obstacle to overcome before life can truly begin. But this belief blinds us to a deeper truth. Fear is not simply a wall blocking your path, it is a doorway, and what lies on the other side is often the very thing you need to grow. The presence of fear is a signal. It is the mind's way of telling you that you are standing at the threshold of something unknown, something that has the potential to change you. The mistake is not in feeling fear. The mistake is in turning away before you step through. Every meaningful transformation in your life, whether in relationships, career, or personal growth, has likely been preceded by a moment where fear whispered, "Stay where you are." And yet, those who walk through discover that fear was not there to stop them but to guide them toward the next chapter. To understand fear as a doorway, you must first change your relationship with it. Instead of seeing fear as a threat, see it as information. Fear reveals where your boundaries are, where your comfort zone ends, and where the edges of your identity lie. If you only act within the borders of comfort, you will remain trapped within them. But when you lean into fear, not recklessly, but with awareness, you begin to expand those borders. This expansion is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is as simple as speaking up in a meeting, starting a conversation with someone you admire, or trying a skill you have long avoided. In each case, the action may last only seconds, but the impact on your confidence and self-perception can last a lifetime. Fear, in this way, is like a compass. The direction you most resist is often the one you most need to follow. The doorway metaphor becomes even clearer when you realize that fear often disguises itself as logic. It tells you it's not the right time, or you're not ready, or you need more preparation. These thoughts feel reasonable, even protective, but they are often the mind's defense against the discomfort of growth. And here lies the paradox. True readiness rarely comes before action. It is the act of stepping through the doorway of fear that builds the very readiness you were waiting for. The climber becomes strong by climbing, not by standing at the base of the mountain imagining the perfect day to begin. The speaker becomes confident by speaking, not by waiting until their voice is flawless. Fear tempts you to wait for perfect conditions, but those conditions are built only after you have already walked forward. Perhaps the most powerful transformation happens when you deliberately choose to face one fear at a time. You do not need to dismantle every fear you have in a single leap. Instead, you start with one doorway, one moment that scares you, but not to the point of paralysis. You step through, you survive, and you learn. That success changes your relationship with fear. You begin to trust that fear is not a signal to stop, but a sign that you are exactly where you should be. Over time, each doorway you pass through makes the next one easier, and though fear never truly disappears, it is part of being alive. It begins to shift from an enemy into an ally, a quiet guide that points toward the places where your greatest growth still waits. 2026 will come whether you prepare for it or not. The question is not whether the future will arrive, but what version of you will meet it. Change is not born from the turning of a calendar page. It is born from the turning of your decisions, your habits, your thoughts. It is shaped by the intention you carry into each day, the environment you choose to grow in, the discipline you protect, the strength you cultivate inside and out, and the fears you walk toward instead of away from. The months ahead are not just time. They are raw material. Every conversation, every morning, every choice is a chance to carve away what no longer serves you and to build what you have always wanted to become. If you do nothing, life will shape you by default. But if you live with awareness, life will shape you by design. When you look back at this moment from the vantage point of 2026, you will either see it as the season you began to rise, or the season you remained the same. The doorway is in front of you. Step through.